Welcome to Whispers of Warcraft. Tonight's story is about Sylvanas Windrunner, her life, her death, and everything after. Just get comfortable, let your body relax, and as you listen, you can drift off whenever you're ready. Let's begin. Long before Banshee screams and shattering sky, there was only Eversong Woods. If you listen closely, you might hear it now. The soft whisper of leaves caught in an endless autumn. The quiet trill of birdsong threading between branches. The steady hum of ancient, gentle magic that lives in every root and stone. Eversong Woods never truly grows cold. Its trees are clothed in gold and crimson, as if the forest discovered the most beautiful moment of the year and decided never to let it go. Imagine walking there. The ground is soft beneath your feet, carpeted with fallen leaves that crunch just slightly, but never loudly enough to disturb the peace. Sunlight filters down in warm beams, painting everything it touches with molten amber. Each breath you take tastes faintly of sap, clean air, and distant ocean spray drifting on the breeze from far-off cliffs. This is where Sylvanas began. Not as the Banshee Queen, not as the war chief, just as a girl of the Windrunner family. Her home is Windrunner Spire, a tall, elegant structure rising above the treetops. Picture it in your mind. White stone softened by time, balconies wrapped in carved railings, banner cloth hanging lazily in the gentle wind. At dawn, the light touches the spire first, turning its highest windows into glowing jewels. Inside, the air is still and cool. Footsteps echo softly in hallways lined with tapestries, books, and the quiet history of a noble house. Here live three sisters. Ilaria, the eldest, thoughtful, adventurous, drawn to the wider, dangerous world. Sylvanas, the middle, sharp-eyed, stubborn, not as quick to smile as some, but fiercely protective of the people and places she loves. Verissa, the youngest, bright, curious, still growing into herself, chasing the footsteps of her sisters. On some early morning, you might imagine Sylvanas waking before the others. She rises quietly, feet finding familiar patterns on the polished stone floor. She steps out onto a balcony as pale light touches the sky. The forest below is partially cloaked in mist, like a blanket laid gently over the trees. The world is still half asleep. Birds have not fully started singing. The sun is only a suggestion on the horizon, a faint promise of warmth. Sylvanas rests her hands on the smooth railing. Her hair moves faintly in the breeze. Her eyes sweep over the woods, over the runestones hidden among leaves, over the gently curving paths between trunks and streams. Even as a girl, there's something steady in her gaze, a readiness, a sense of responsibility that has already taken root. These are her people. These are her woods. This is her home. As you stand beside her in your imagination, you can feel some of that calm certainty seep into you as well. The distant world may be chaotic, but here, in this moment, everything is simple. The sky, the trees, the cool stone beneath bare feet, the slow rising of the sun. You can let your breath match that slow rhythm. In and out. The day begins quietly. But beneath that quiet, a future is already moving toward her, step by step, like a distant rider on the road not yet visible through the trees. Years pass in a forest where time feels gentle. Sylvanas grows. Her days fill with practice, with discipline, with 1,000 small decisions that turn raw talent into something sharper. The high, elven rangers of Quel'Thalas are not loud soldiers clad in thick iron. They are the forest's shadows, its eyes and its silent arrows. Imagine Sylvanas standing in a small clearing deep in Eversong. The trees circle around her like patient teachers. A simple target hangs from a post, a circle of straw and wood with a painted mark at its center. She draws a bowstring back, slowly. You can almost feel the tension in the string, the way it grows tighter, the way it hums quietly with potential. Her fingers are calloused now. The bow is an extension of her body, familiar, reassuring. She exhales, and in that smooth exhale, releases the arrow. There is no dramatic sound, just a clean, soft thunk as the arrow buries itself near the center of the target. She doesn't smile widely. She simply nods, retrieves the arrow, and does it again. Again, and again. Sometimes Illyria visits, offering advice between her own journeys. Sometimes Verisa stands at the edge of the clearing, watching in wide-eyed admiration, dreaming of the day she will join them. But whether anyone is watching or not, Sylvanas continues. She practices in sunlight and in shadow, in the hush of morning and the quiet of evening, until her muscles remember what her mind no longer has to think about. Her training is not only with the bow. She runs silently through the undergrowth, learning where the branches bend and where they will snap. She climbs trees, moving from branch to branch with a sure-footed grace that comes only from repetition. She listens to the flutter of wings overhead, to small creatures moving in the brush, to the subtle shift in the wind before a storm. The forest becomes her teacher, her partner, her testing ground. As you imagine her moving quietly between trees, you might notice your own body settling a little more. Just as she learns to be at ease in the woods, you can let yourself be at ease where you are. No need to hurry, no need to judge, just breath and quiet presence. With time, training turns into mastery. Sylvanas rises through the ranks of the Rangers of Quel'Thalas, not because of her family name, but because of what she's become. Disciplined, unrelenting, clear-eyed and sharp-minded. Eventually, she is named Ranger General of Silvermoon. You can picture the moment she stands in ceremonial armor, bow at her back, receiving that title. The hall is filled with soft light, reflected from polished stone and intricate stained glass. Elegant figures watch in respectful silence. There is no wild cheering, no explosions of celebration, only calm acknowledgement of what she has earned. Later, you might see her back where she truly belongs, on the high ridges of the border, overlooking the lands beyond Quel'Thalas. The forest spreads behind her, warm and vibrant. Before her, the world stretches outward, plains, mountains, distant roads. She stands with the ranger's composure, one hand resting lightly on the curve of her bow. Her eyes scan the horizon with patient focus. The borders of Quel'Thalas are protected by powerful runestones, ancient constructs that generate protective wards. To most eyes, these are simply carved stones in the forest. To Sylvanas, they are the anchors of her people's safety. She walks the boundaries often, checking each runestone, feeling the hum of its magic, making sure nothing is amiss. She knows the routes of every patrol, the strengths and weaknesses of every guard post, the patterns of the wind and the habits of the creatures who share the forest. Her days are filled with responsibility, but not with dread. This is the life she chose, the role that fits around her like a perfectly tailored cloak. As you stand beside her at the edge of the forest in your mind, the air is crisp, cool against your skin. Clouds drift lazily across the sky. Far below, The canopy of Eversong Woods sways gently in the wind, a sea of gold and red. She is not afraid of what lies beyond. She only respects it enough to watch carefully. You can borrow that feeling for a moment, a sense that your own life has borders that can be watched with calm, steady attention. Nothing is rushing you. Nothing is demanding you decide anything right now. You are simply watching, breathing, resting. The world beyond Quel'Thalas does not sleep as peacefully as Eversong Woods. Far to the south, seedlings of catastrophe begin to take root. At first, the news reaches Silvermoon as whispers. Travelers pass through, speaking of strange plagues, of people falling ill in ways that defy healing. There are stories of the dead rising again, their eyes empty, their bodies driven by a will not their own. To many, these tales sound exaggerated, the way stories do when they pass from tavern to tavern. To Sylvanas, they are a pattern taking shape. She listens. She asks questions. She sends scouts to learn more. Time passes. The rumors harden into reality. The scourge is real, not a handful of cursed souls, but an army, relentless and growing. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Lordaeron, a young prince, Arthas Menethil, walks a path that will lead him deeper and deeper into darkness. Sylvanas does not know at first how tightly her fate will become tied to his. She hears the name the way one hears of a distant noble, someone with his own battles, his own destiny. Her concern is with the borders, with the runestones, with the possibility that one day the shadow moving across the south might turn its gaze toward the golden forest. Some nights, she stands again on a tower overlooking the woods. The sky is clear. Stars shine brightly, familiar constellations woven into old stories and songs. Yet the peace feels slightly thinner now, like a cloth stretched almost to its limit. The wind carries with it a faint chill that does not belong to this ever-warm forest. You might imagine her in that moment, bow unstrung at her side, hands resting on stone, eyes narrowed in thought. You, too, might feel that strange sensation of knowing something is coming even if you cannot yet see it. And still, you breathe, in and out. Nothing has arrived yet. For now, there's only the stillness before the storm, and the quiet decision to be ready. One day, a scout returns with more than rumors. He brings truth. The scourge is no longer distant. It is moving north. Villages have fallen. Fields lie empty. Roads that were once safe are now haunted by marching dead. The reports speak of an army that does not tire, that does not need to rest or eat or sleep. They speak of a leader in dark armor, carrying a blade of cold, blue power. Prince Arthas Menethil, no longer just a prince, the Lich King's chosen champion. Sylvanas feels something quietly click into place. The path she has prepared for through training and vigilance is now directly before her. She doubles the patrols. She fortifies choke points in the forest. She revisits every runestone, tracing its carvings with careful fingers, listening for any weakness in its song. Her rangers sharpen their arrows, check their armor, review their signals. Campfires burn a little later into the night. Jokes still pass between them, but behind every laugh is an understanding. This is not a raid or a minor incursion. This is something else. You might imagine them now around a low fire in the woods. The flames are small, contained, so as not to draw attention. Sparks drift upward, glowing briefly before fading into the night air. Around the fire, faces are lit in orange and gold, shadows softening their features. Sylvanas listens more than she speaks. When she does speak, her words are calm, direct, anchoring. She tells them the truth without panic. They may be outnumbered. This enemy will be unlike any they've fought before. But they are the rangers of Quel'Thalas. They know these woods. They know each other. And as long as they draw breath, they will hold this line. The fire pops softly. An owl calls from somewhere high in the trees. You can feel the forest listening. The night wraps around them like a cloak. As you picture this scene, you may notice yourself sliding a little deeper into stillness. Even though they prepare for war, you are only a quiet observer, resting between one breath and the next. The day finally arrives when the forest is no longer quiet. The scourge reaches the borders of Quel'Thalas. From her vantage point, Sylvanas sees them come. A dark mass moving across the land. Skeletal warriors, shambling corpses, hulking abominations stitched together from pieces that should not be. Above them, the sky seems slightly dimmer, the light more muted, as if the sun itself is reluctant to shine upon this army. At their head is Arthas, clad in dark armor, the runeblade Frostmourne resting at his side like a promise of winter. But we won't focus on every clash, on every blade. For tonight, we soften the edges. We watch from a distance, like someone looking at a painting rather than standing in the battle itself. Sylvanas deploys her rangers with unshakable precision. They move through the trees like the forest's own embodiment, appearing and vanishing where they are least expected. Arrows rain from above, silent and deadly, finding gaps in armor, shattering bone, piercing rotten flesh. The runestones flare with energy as the scourge tests their strength. For a time, it seems possible that the line will hold. The forest has always protected her people. Perhaps it will do so now. But the scourge is not like other enemies. Every fallen defender risks rising again under the Lich King's will. Every gap in the wards, every broken runestone, is a door opening wider. Bit by bit, the defenses of Quel'Thalas begin to buckle. You might see Sylvanas on a ridge of burning undergrowth, embers swirling around her, smoke blurring the edges of everything. Her face is streaked with ash. Her breathing is steady, even as the world around her descends into chaos. She gives orders, repositions her forces, falls back when necessary, always trying to buy just a little more time. Time for Silver Moon, time for the Sunwell, time for her people. In the end, even her will cannot deny the inevitable. Arthas pushes deeper into Quel'Thalas, toward the heart of its power. Their final confrontation is fierce, but in this telling, we dim the volume, turning the rage and the pain into distant echoes. We know only this. Sylvanas fights to her last breath. She refuses to surrender. She refuses to plead. And when Arthas kills her, it is not the end, but a brutal turning of the page. We will not linger on the moment of death. Instead, imagine a candle suddenly snuffed out. One instant it burns, its light flickering warmly. The next, there's only smoke rising in a thin line toward the ceiling. Then, even the smoke disappears. Silence. The forest remembers her. The golden leaves remember her. And somewhere, far from the warmth of Eversong, something cold waits for her. For most, death is an ending. For Sylvanas, it becomes a distortion. Under the Lich King's command, she is raised not as a living elf, but as a banshee, a spirit of rage and sorrow, bound and twisted, forced into cruel service. Imagine drifting in a void without warmth, without breath, without heartbeat. There is awareness, but it is dim, as if wrapped in thick cloth. Above that awareness is a voice that is not your own, commanding, cold, impossible to resist. Go here. Kill this. Tear down that. This is how Sylvanas exists for a time. She remembers faintly the forest, the spire, the faces of her sisters, but these memories are buried under the weight of the Lich King's will. She moves across battlefields as a weapon, her shriek breaking mortal minds, her power turned against the living. In this part of her story, we could dwell on horror, but tonight we will not. Instead, we focus on the quiet, stubborn ember that refuses to go out. Even in chains, even as a servant of death, Sylvanas does not disappear completely. Somewhere deep within, the Ranger General remains, watching, counting, waiting. And then, one day, something changes. The Lich King's power is drawn elsewhere. His hold on his servants grows thinner, frayed at the edges. Through that small crack, Sylvanas's will pushes outward. The chains creak, they strain, and with a shuddering effort, they begin to break. It is not sudden, it is not easy, but slowly, painfully, she becomes herself again. Not the living elf, no, she is still dead, still bound to a body now transformed. But her mind, her choices, her autonomy return. Around her, others experience the same awakening. Undead who remember who they once were, who look down at their hands and see bone, decay, and yet feel the spark of self still there. The world does not welcome them. To the living, they are unnatural, wrong, frightening. They are forsaken. When no one else claims them, Sylvanas does. She gathers them, speaks to them, offers them something no one else is willing to. Not pity, not revulsion, but belonging. Beneath the once great kingdom of Lord Tyron are dark halls, old tunnels, and forgotten spaces. In these depths, a city slowly awakens, the Undercity. It is a place of green mist and dripping stone, of alchemical workshops and quiet, echoing corridors. For most adventurers, it is eerie, unsettling. For the Forsaken, it is home. Imagine walking there now, with no fear, just observation. Torches burn with sickly green flames casting long shadows on worn stone. The air is cool and damp, smelling faintly of earth, old magic, and strange potions. Water runs along channels carved in the floor, its trickle a constant soothing sound beneath the murmured conversations of the city's inhabitants. Sylvanas moves through these halls with a queen's bearing, but her crown is duty, not comfort. She addresses her people not as fragile things to be coddled, but as survivors. You were thrown away, she might say, her voice echoing softly under stone arches. You were feared, you were hunted, you were denied your old lives. She pauses, eyes sweeping over them. Skeletal warriors, stitched abominations, ghostly figures in tattered robes. But you are still here. You still think. You still choose. And as long as you draw breath, or whatever passes for breath now, you are mine. You are forsaken. And together, we will never be ignored again. There is a comfort in that, strange as it is. In a world that would rather see them destroyed, Sylvanas offers her people a banner to gather beneath, a place to stand, a purpose. In the quiet of your own room, you might sense the echo of that feeling, the deep, human need to belong somewhere, even if that somewhere is complicated. You are not forsaken, not undead, not walking the halls of the Undercity. You are simply lying where you are, listening, safe. But you may understand on some level how powerful it is when someone looks at you and says, "You are not alone." Time moves on. The scourge remains. The Lich King looms in Northrend like a dark star pulling all paths toward him. For Sylvanas, his existence is an open wound. He stole her life. He stole her choice. He twisted her people. As long as he endures, she cannot truly be free. When Azeroth's many factions travel north to confront him, Sylvanas and the Forsaken are among them. The battles in Northrend are harsh and bitter. Snow falls constantly, covering old scars with a cold, white layer. Citadels of ice rise from the ground like jagged teeth. You might imagine Sylvanas standing on the ramparts of a fortress there, wind tearing at her cloak, her hair blown back, eyes fixed on the distant silhouette of ice-crowned citadel. Each breath is visible in the frigid air, a small cloud that vanishes almost as soon as it appears. She says very little. What can be said that has not already been felt for years? Eventually, the Lich King falls. The story of that battle is told by many heroes in many ways. We only need to know that when he is defeated, when the crown of domination is passed on to keep the scourge in check, Sylvanas finds herself standing in the aftermath of the thing she has long sought. He is gone. She has her revenge. And yet, inside, there is not the peace she imagined. There is emptiness. For so long, her existence has been shaped by hatred, by the simple, sharp goal of destroying her tormentor. Without that goal, there is a hollow space where purpose should be. She returns to Icecrown later, alone. She stands at the edge of the frozen throne, the wind screaming around her in wordless fury. Below, the ice stretches out endlessly, a white void waiting to swallow anything that falls into it. She looks down, and then, without ceremony, steps off the edge. The fall is long, but in this telling, we slow it to a gentle drift. She descends through cold air and blowing snow until darkness takes her. But death, for Sylvanas, is never simple. On the other side of the veil, she sees something that shatters whatever remained of her faith in the order of things. Not a just afterlife. Not peaceful fields or moonlit woods. She sees a place of endless torment. Souls chained, stripped of meaning, used as fuel for something cruel and vast. She realizes that death itself has been rigged, its scales tilted, its choices violated. When she is brought back, returned to her undead existence by forces with their own agendas, she does not come back as someone relieved. She comes back with a new conviction. The system is broken. Life is a lie. Death is a lie. Everything must change. Back in the living world, alliances shift, wars erupt, and the Horde finds itself leaderless. In these turbulent times, Sylvanas is named War Chief of the Horde. Once, she led Rangers, then the Forsaken. Now, an entire faction's fate rests on her decisions. Imagine Orgrimmar at sunset. Red rock walls glow with the last light of the day. Banners snap in the hot wind. Fires burn in great braziers, their smoke curling up into a deep orange sky. Sylvanas enters the city through its main gate, flanked by Forsaken guards. Orcs, trolls, Tauren, blood elves, goblins, Pandaren, and more watch her with varied eyes. Some see strength, some see danger, some see both. Her voice echoes in the Valley of Strength as she speaks of survival, of duty, of the need to be ruthless in a world that has never hesitated to be ruthless to them. From her perspective, every choice she makes is in service of a larger, fierce logic. The world is cruel. If her people are not feared, they will be crushed. To many others, her actions cross lines they cannot accept. The burning of Teldrassil, home of the Night Elves, is such a moment. A world tree, a symbol of shelter and renewal set ablaze. In another kind of story, we might dwell on the flames, the screams, the horror. but you are here to rest. So we acknowledge the act without reliving it. We simply note that the sky over Darkshore fills with smoke, and Sylvanas, for many, passes beyond the point of redemption. Her war against the Alliance, and even against dissent within the Horde, continues with brutal efficiency. She makes deals in the shadows. She uses forbidden weapons. She steps further and further into moral darkness, convinced that only she understands the real stakes. To her, this is not senseless cruelty. It is strategy in a rigged game. To others, it is monstrous. As you listen, you might feel the complexity of her story. She's not a simple hero, nor a simple villain. Just as in real life, people's choices come from pain, belief, misjudgment, and perspective. For now, you do not need to decide how you feel about her. You can just observe quietly, as one more layer is added to a soul already heavy from so many past lives. Eventually, Sylvanas turns her attention back to the symbol of her first torment, the Helm of Domination, the seat of the Lich King's power. After a series of events and confrontations, a new Lich King stands guard over the Scourge, wearing the helm as a grim necessity. Sylvanas faces him atop Icecrown once more. The cold wind howls, snow swirls, the sky above is heavy with clouds. In a moment that changes the cosmos, she tears the helm from his head and shatters it. The crack is not just in metal. The sky itself splits open like broken glass. Above Icecrown, the veil between life and death is torn wide, revealing the Shadowlands, a vast array of realms where souls go after their mortal lives' end. But something is wrong. It has been wrong for a long time. Sylvanas has not been acting alone. She has aligned herself with a powerful entity from the Shadowlands, one who seeks to reshape the entire machinery of death. To her, this entity offers what she believes is justice, a chance to break the system that condemned so many souls unjustly. To those on Azeroth, it looks like betrayal on an unimaginable scale. The shattering of the sky unleashes chaos. Souls are pulled from their rightful paths. The realms beyond life are exposed, strained, and thrown into conflict. Heroes follow her into the Shadowlands, some to stop her, some to understand, some because they know there is no other way forward. We won't follow every step of that journey. Instead, we'll drift over it like a quiet cloud passing above vast landscapes, the Gothic spires of Revendreth, the shining fields of Bastion, the wild groves of Ardenweald, the war-torn plains of Maldraxxus. All the while, Sylvanas stands at the center of a web of choices, some made in pain, some in pride, some in genuine belief that she is preventing a greater tragedy. At the heart of it, her soul itself is in question. In the Shadowlands, truths are revealed that were long hidden. We learn that Sylvanas' soul was not whole. When she first died, part of her was taken, locked away, leaving what remained colder, harsher, less capable of empathy. This does not erase what she did, but it explains why she felt as she did, why her worldview grew so fierce, so uncompromising. At a key moment, the missing fragment of her soul is reunited with the rest. Imagine, if you like, a dark room where a single window has been boarded up. For years, only thin lines of light have slipped through cracks in the wood. Then, one day, the boards are removed, and the full daylight pours in. It is not gentle. It does not ask if you are ready. It simply illuminates everything. Dust in the air, marks on the floor, every forgotten object in the corners. When Sylvanas becomes whole again, she must face the totality of who she is. The ranger who died defending her home, the Banshee who served the Lich King, the Queen who led the Forsaken, the War Chief who burned a world tree and shattered a sky. All of it belongs to her. There is no escaping it. She is judged, not only by others, but by the knowledge of what she has done and why. The sentence she receives is not simple erasure. It is not an easy absolution. Instead, she is given a task: to enter the Maw, the deepest and most forsaken realm of the Shadowlands, and there to free every soul unjustly thrown into torment. The same souls she once saw in that first glimpse beyond death. The same injustice that shaped her hatred of the system. Now she must help mend it. The Maw is a place of endless, dark, jagged landscapes and ceaseless suffering. But for tonight, we will soften it. We will imagine it not as torment for you, but as a stark background against which a single figure moves with quiet purpose. Picture a vast plain, lit only by a dull, bluish glow from a distant sky without stars. The ground is cracked and uneven, like cooled lava frozen mid-motion. In this endless expanse, Sylvanas walks. Her steps are steady. She carries no crown, no banner, no army. Perhaps, in your mind, she holds a small lantern, a simple light that casts a gentle circle around her feet. Everywhere she goes, she searches for souls who were sent here not for their own crimes, but because of the broken machinery of death itself. When she finds them, she speaks to them. Maybe her words are not always perfect, but she listens. She cuts chains. She breaks bindings. She opens paths out of this place toward better realms. It is slow work. There is no battle glory, no cheering crowds, no visible progress on a grand scale. Just one soul, and then another, and another. In a way, it is the hardest task she has ever taken on. Not because of danger, but because of patience. Because it requires that she face, over and over again, the consequences of a system she once tried to destroy through brute force. Now, she tries to repair it through steady effort. You might see her in your mind pausing at the edge of a dark chasm, watching as a previously bound soul walks a newly opened bridge of light toward a distant, gentler realm. There is no applause, but there is, perhaps, a quiet relief, a small rightness in a vast wrongness. And she walks on, far above the Maw, beyond shattered sky and realms of afterlife. Azeroth continues to turn. Wars flare and cool. New stories rise. In Eversong Woods, the leaves are still gold. The forest still whispers. The Windrunner spire still catches the light at sunrise, standing quietly above the trees. If you return there in your imagination now, you might see it not as it is in any specific moment of canon, but as a kind of timeless memory. The balcony, the mist at dawn, the soft call of distant birds. Perhaps in this memory, Sylvanas stands there again, not as the world saw her, with titles and armor and scars, but as she truly is in her own deepest self. Someone who loved this forest, who loved her people, and who, in trying to protect them and define her place in the face of injustice, took paths that led her far away from this quiet beginning. You don't have to decide if she was right or wrong. You don't have to argue about her redemption or her damnation. You can simply let her story be what it is: a long, winding road through loyalty, pain, rage, love, and the search for meaning. Just as your own life is a series of choices, mistakes, victories, losses, and changes, so too is hers. Magnified and dramatized by the scale of fantasy, but still rooted in feelings you might recognize. As you stand on that balcony with her, looking out over Eversong Woods, let your own breath fall into a slow, natural pattern. In, hold, out. Let your body be as unmoving and steady as the stone beneath your imagined feet. Let the forest stretch out before you like a golden sea of gentle sound and light. You are safe. You are not being judged. You are simply here, resting, listening, being. We have walked a long way tonight. From forest to fortress, from spire to citadel, from life to death and into realms beyond. We've seen Sylvanas Windrunner as a daughter, a sister, a ranger, a general, a banshee, a queen, a war chief, a soul in judgment, and finally, as a solitary figure in the dark, carrying a small light for others. Her story is complicated, sad, fierce, beautiful in its own tragic way. But for you, here and now, it is simply a soft, faraway song, a story told so that your own mind can slowly loosen its grip on the day. Any thoughts that arise, you can treat like characters passing through your own story. They appear, they speak, they move on. You don't have to follow them. You can just watch gently until even watching becomes too much effort. And you surrender to rest. Notice your body now. Your breathing is likely slower, deeper, more effortless. Your limbs may feel heavier, warmer, more distant. If there is any remaining tension in your forehead, in your jaw, in your shoulders, in your stomach, you can imagine it melting away like snow under a gentle sun, or like fog lifting from the forest in early morning. You don't have to hold anything. Not Sylvanas' story, not your own, not the past day or the day to come. You can set everything down just for now, if you're still awake enough to hear these words, and if this long, quiet journey through the life and afterlife of Sylvanas Windrunner helped you relax. You are always welcome to return to Whispers of Warcraft whenever you need a soft escape into Azeroth. If you'd like to drift off to more stories like this, more gentle lore, more slow, calming tales of heroes, villains, and everything in between, you can subscribe to the channel so the next whisper finds you easily when you're ready to rest again. Leaving a small like on this video helps these stories travel farther, guiding other tired minds to a place where they can relax, breathe, and fall asleep in familiar worlds. But for now, you don't need to move. You don't need to tap anything. You can just let your thoughts grow softer, let your body grow heavier, and if sleep hasn't already wrapped you up, let it come now, gently, like golden leaves falling slowly through the quiet air of Eversong Woods. Good night, traveler, from Whispers of Warcraft. Sleep well.